Okay, so I have moved the character a little bit on the inside. Let's create the actual character blueprint. Then we'll go about setting up the dots and all those things. So head in here and just create a folder called blueprints. And this blueprints folder will just contain any and all blueprints that we have. And we'll just create, since we won't have much, we'll just do it in this folder itself. Create a character. And we'll call this one bp underscore. We can just call it bp character, but I guess it's better if we have a separate class for Pacman and the other characters, which will be AI controlled, obviously. So Pacman, open it up, just save it. And now over here, if you would notice, we have an empty event graph, so we'll obviously have to set up the movement input and stuff. We'll not be using the actual mesh, so that's not going to be how we'll approach this. What we'll do is we'll actually go ahead and create two static meshes. So we'll just create two static meshes. And we'll just go ahead and let it attach. We'll just duplicate this. And this is going to be the upper half of the sphere. So upper half, you can call it whatever you want, and this one we can call this lower half. So according to whatever you want. And over here we can drag in Pacman. Okay, I guess it's not called Pacman. So this sphere, whatever this is. So now that we have this, we'll just copy this over and head into okay, we'll create a folder called meshes. And over here we can just go ahead and paste this. So we'll call this sm underscore Pacman half. And by default we can make it use the Pacman material. Alright. And now I can go ahead and select the Pacman mesh. This will be Pacman half. Go ahead and select that once again. And now I can go ahead and rotate this. So now, as you can see, we have a proper sphere. Ignore this part. Doesn't matter. We'll handle collision separately. We'll not be making use of the capsule. Alright, now I just want to make a simple animation. So what I can do is I can use a timeline for this. So we have to modify the Y rotation. So this basically is what we need to modify. So we'll get it up to 90 and we'll bring it back to 0. So that's what we'll be doing. So we'll add a timeline and we'll call this one animation. We'll just keep it playing all the time to keep things simple. Of course, you can add your own logic. And this is going to be, let's say we make it 2 seconds or 3 seconds. We'll adjust the timing. So at time 0, we'll keep the value to be whatever it is. So it is 0. So it is 0. Alright. And at whatever time, so let's say at 1, we are going to make it 90. I assume it is positive 90. So it is positive 90. So that's going to be our track. So this will be what it is. Of course, we can add ease in, ease out to make it good. So we can make it auto, but we'll do that later. Then what we can do is we can go ahead and set up the logic. So we can say custom event start animation. Or what we can do is we can just call it handle animation or whatever. So we can do handle animation. So we are going to play. And once this is finished, we are just going to reverse the animation. So that's about it. What you can do is upon the update, you can go ahead and set up something. So let's say we want to set the rotation. So we have the upper half here. So we can grab a reference to that. And over here, and we can, if you just type in set rotation, so you see you get an option called set relative rotation. So you can go ahead and change that. So this was 90 on the Y. So we'll go ahead and use this. So we'll split the pin and we'll use the pitch of this. And we'll go ahead and hit update. And what we can do just to avoid this from not allowing it is we can just delay until next tick and we can do it. So that's going to work totally fine because the animation isn't really that significant. So we can again go ahead and delay until next tick, and maybe we can reverse or whatever. So for now we'll do this. So we don't have the character itself. So characters, rather blueprints, BP Pacman. So now if I were to go ahead and instead of playing, I'll just go ahead and call this somewhere. So I'll just give a delay of like 2 seconds, and I'm going to call handle animation. Let's go ahead and just simulate. So just see how this is going to come. So this is way too slow. So let's go ahead and fix that. So over here, I can go ahead and I think 3 seconds is enough for the entire animation. So I'll just make this, okay, so this one was just 1 second. So we can make this 0.5. And what I can do is over here, I can go ahead and add another keyframe at time equal to 1. And I can set the value to 0. And the duration can be 1 as well. So we can of course make it ease in, ease out. So if I make it auto, it will be ease in, ease out. Now if I were to go ahead and press play, so we'll worry about the logic later. So I guess this is way better. Alright. So what we want to do is after we delay up until next tick, we'll just go ahead and continue playing it. So I guess this is going to work out well. So let's go ahead and check this out. So the problem seems to be with the fact that we had to make it play from start because we are already at the end. Otherwise we could have used the reverse feature, but nonetheless it's fine. So now this is going to work. So it's going to go and it's going to keep on doing that. Right? If we look at it from up, it looks fairly convincing. But I just want to do the same for the lower half. So this is going to be, okay, so this is going to be 0 to 90 as well. So same thing for this and for the lower half. Alright, so this is going to be our very basic animation handler. So go ahead and drag that in there. So so the connection of these nodes may be a little confusing, but the logic is pretty straightforward as we saw over there. So maybe something like this would help it make it better. We can't escape the overlapping, so that's the problem. Never mind, we can go ahead and press play, or rather simulate. And I think there is a bit of a problem here. So let's go ahead and check why. So this seems to work. The only thing that's not working is the lower half. I can expect why. So I'll try to make this separate so that we can visualize this a little bit. We may have to add in an offset. So go ahead and press play. So yeah, we probably have to add in an offset. So what you can do is you can go ahead and subtract some amount over here. So let's say you subtract 90 degrees. Now if you go ahead and hit simulate, you should see that it is going down. So this is not how it is supposed to be. So if we remove this, the upper half seems to be working fine. Alright, so what we should do is we should make this 180. Go ahead and press play. And now if I were to take a look, not quite sure, okay, we forgot to connect it. Now if we go ahead and press play, you would notice that it is moving together. So let's make this one 270. Alright. So as you see, it is kind of moving back and forth. So the way you can fix that is you can negate it. So you can get the negative of that. So in that case, it's going to work. So what we'll do is simply we are going to negate this and we are going to get this value. So negate this and we are going to get this value. Alright. So we'll get minus of whatever was there. And as you see, you are getting the correct animation, just that the alignment is probably a bit off. So again we can follow the same pattern. We can just add an offset of 180 degrees and that is going to fix our problem. Now if I go ahead and press play, you'd notice that we have this animation. Maybe it is a little too much, so if you would notice it's a little too much. So a simple thing what we can do is we can just reduce this. So instead of making this 90, we can make it something like 75. So I guess that would be way better. So as you see, that gets the job done. Alright. And if we really wanted to, we could just rotate the whole thing slightly so that it faces a little bit up so that it looks nice. But I think I'm happy with this animation. One small change that I've made is I've just divided this by 3 before adding 180 so that the animation on the lower half is a little less exaggerated. Now we can go ahead and remove the delay from the handle animation node and we can just play it on begin play. So as soon as our game starts, our animation should start playing. So our animation is going to play. And since we set up the material in such a way, so it's going to be kind of reflective. And now we can remove our dummy Pacman over here. So now we can have the actual character.